Morning, everybody. This is David. Thank you so very much for joining me for another practice. So today I wanted to let you know that we will go through our breathing exercise, standing pose, back bends, and some hip and hamstring openers, as well as the guided meditation. And then at the end of it, after the camera fades, I'm going to stick around for a little while in case you have any questions. So if you do have questions at that point, you can always enter them through the chat on Zoom, and I'll do my best to answer them. But for now, we'll start as we always do. So just sit up as tall as you can. And then close your eyes for the next few moments with your hands resting in your lap or on your legs in some supportive way. Close your eyes and redirect all of your focus to your breath. For the next few moments, just pay close attention to your inhaling and exhaling. If your mind happens to wander elsewhere, notice and then redirect to your breath. And today, to elongate your exhales, create the sound C through your teeth repetitively, and I'll let you know when to stop. So whenever you're ready to begin, breathe in deeply. For the next few moments, return to normal breathing patterns. And once again, shift all of your focus back to your breath. Just observe your inhales and exhales again. When you're ready, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Bring to mind someone you'd like to dedicate today's practice to. And then send your person some good energy mentally. All right, then when you're ready, open your eyes. And we'll start out with a basic twist. So from your seated position, slide your left hip back a little bit. I'm going to do my right so it looks like we're doing the same thing. Then take your right hand to your left knee and place your left fingertips on the ground behind you and tuck your ribs down on the front just a bit. And once you've accomplished that, rotate your chest off to the left and gaze straight backward over your shoulder behind for a gentle spinal twist. While you're there, just take a couple really deep breaths. Rotate your spine off in the other direction. Slide your right hip back just a little bit so your hips are not square. And then take your left hand to your right knee and place your right hand on the floor behind you. Tuck your ribs down in the front and then rotate your chest off to the right. Gaze straight backward over your shoulder behind. And again, some deep breaths. If it helps, create that Darth Vader-like whisper sound in the back of your throat to slow your breathing down. Then release your twist. Square your hips with the front of your mat, or whichever direction you're facing, and then place your left hand out near the side. And for just a moment, take a gentle side bend. Reach your right arm all the way over the ear, and reach long through your fingertips, and then press out through your left hand to put even more stretch into the space between your ribs. At the same time, try to slide your left shoulder down away from your ears so it comes further away from your head. Use an inhale to come back up. Place your other hand on the floor there. And once you've done so, side bend to your right and reach your left arm all the way over your head. Press out through your right hand to deepen the stretch and extend long through your fingertips. The next time you inhale, come back up and tense your fingers on the floor behind you. I usually like to spin mine backward, but you can face them forward if you like. And for now, just lift up through your chest in a gentle back bend. Squeeze your shoulders all the way back and together. Lift the base of your ribs up and stretch everything from your belly button to your chin. Lift your chin and roll it back as well. Next, come out of that position and into some cat-cows. So roll to the four-pointed kneeling stance with your shoulders directly above your hands. Round your back with your exhales. Roll your tail under at the same time. And then arch your back with your inhales and carry on back and forth. Try to make your exhales as big as possible as your rounds. And take some really expansive inhales also as you lift your hips and your chest. Back and forth between those two separate extremes. And then with your toes curled under behind you, lift your hips upwards into the air for the downward facing dog stretch. Since we haven't really done much to warm up your legs, do some pedaling to loosen up your hamstrings and calf muscles. I think really the most important thing while you pedal is that you keep your feet kind of parallel so you get an even stretch in your legs. If your heels do not touch the floor, it doesn't matter at all so long as you're getting a good stretch in the backs of your legs. So just press your heels down until you find that and you'll be good to go. Then take a look forward up there at the front of your mat. Step or hop your feet all the way forward. Once you've done so, come up to your fingertips. Wiggle your feet apart till they're separated by about hips distance. And bring a slight bend to your knees. Walk your hands way over to your left-hand side. And then lift your hips just a little higher upwards in the air from there. If you like to work towards straight legs, straighten them all the way. If it feels better, you can definitely keep your knees slightly bent. And then bending your legs, walk your hands off in the other direction there. Lift your hips just slightly higher upwards to the ceiling above you till you feel a solid stretching in your legs. And then walk them all the way back through center, your hands. Bend your knees a slight bit further. Shake your head yes a couple of times. Then the next time you inhale, roll all the way upwards and then to a standing position. Once you reach the top up there, join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. And heel toe your feet all the way together this time around. Use your next inhale to sweep your arms out to the sides and upwards. Grab a hold of your left wrist with your right hand. Pull all the way up until that arm feels long. Tuck your ribs down and bend your torso to the right-hand side of the room that you're in. And gaze upward and under your armpit and press down through your left foot to sort of anchor the base down there beneath. Use your next inhale to come back up. Grab a hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Pull up until your arm goes as straight as it can be for your body. Tuck your ribs down in the front and side bend your torso left this time. So gaze up and under the armpit toward the ceiling. Press your right foot down just a little harder into the mat. Try to leave a big imprint in the floor beneath you. Use an inhale to come all the way back up. Bend both legs substantially. Join your hands together on a prayer at your chest. And then from there, twist off to your right hand side. Cross your left elbow completely over one of your legs. And once you've got some elbow and leg contact, join your hands together in a prayer and rotate your spine a little more deeply this time around. And once you find a spot that feels good, just sort of maintain there and keep on breathing. Next time you breathe in, sweep both arms all the way up. Join your hands together in a prayer. Switch for the same posture on side B. As your hands drive together, just keep breathing while you twist. Use another inhale to sweep both arms all the way up. Straighten your legs to stand up completely. Then take your hands to your hips and create a broader foundation by walking your feet apart until they're separated by about hips distance. And once you've done that, broaden your chest by squeezing your elbows backwards as well as together. Shift your hips forward. And as you lift up to the base of your ribs, take a gentle standing back bend. As you hold there, pull your hip creases backward to the rear of the mat to maintain some curve in your lower back. Use your next inhale to come all the way up. Fold forward from your hip crease. Bend your knees. Grab a hold of your big toes with your index and middle finger. And then lift your chest upwards and then away from your thighs. Work towards straighter legs. And feel free to stay up there with lifted chest. Or if you want a slightly deeper stretch, fold forward with your elbows bent out to the sides. You're still getting warmed up here, so nothing too crazy. Just stretch until it feels nice. And then the next time you inhale, lift upwards to your chest. Bend your legs and plant your hands on the floor. Step or hop back to the high push-up position. This time around, lower all the way down to your stomach. And take Shalabhasana. Lift your chest and your hands and your legs all the way off of the floor. Draw your chin down to your chest for now. Squeeze both shoulders all the way backwards and together to lift the points of your shoulders a little higher upwards. And just keep breathing as you hold. And then relax your hands to the floor, placing them near the bottom of your ribs, and place the tops of your feet on the earth. And from there, press to the up dog. Your knees can be down if you like, or upwards off of the ground if you prefer. Lift your hips upward again for the downward facing dog. This time around, as you drive out through your hands, press both heels closer to the floor. And one more round of pedaling just to get a little more stretch in the backs of your legs. All right, from there, take a look forward to the front of your mat and step your right foot all the way up to your hands. Walk your hands across the ground to face the long edge of your mat. Then turn your toes out to the sides. And bend both legs substantially. And with your torso roughly parallel to the floor, and crisscross your arms under your chest. Use an inhale to come up to the horse. And with your legs still bent, interlace your hands behind your skull. Side bend your torso to your right. I'll do my left so it looks like we're doing the same thing if you're looking at the camera. And just rotate your chest open so both sides of your chest are squared to the long edge of your mat. Use another inhale to come up and out of that one. And then switch to the same pose on the other side, whichever side you've not got so far. Rotate your chest open so both sides of your chest are squared to the front. And tilt your left elbow down toward your left leg to deepen the stretch. And the next time you inhale, come all the way up. Now this time, crisscross your arms with your hands down near your hips, around your spine, bend your legs more, and let your head hang down near the floor. And then stand up completely with an inhale. Straighten your legs, squeeze your butt, reach your arms out to the sides and then up. Bend and cross as you exhale. Let your head hang. Inhale to rise up, straight legs. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale for the bend. Now, keeping both legs bent, return to the horse with both arms lifted up. This time, rotate your arms so that your palms face the skull. Press your arms overhead as well as back. Roll your tail between the legs to flatten your lower back. And then roll your tailbone back just a little bit and sink deeper down if you can. A couple really full breaths. Straighten out your legs all together. Reach both arms way out to your sides. And take a really big step to get back to the front of your mat. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Then inhale to sweep both arms up. Exhale and fold forward. Lift to your fingers on the inhale. Chaturanga push-up with an exhale. The up dog or the low cobra with an inhale. And the down dog stretch with your exhale. Warrior one, step your left foot forward. Turn your back heel to the floor. Use an inhale to sweep your arms outwards and up. If possible, interlace your hands and point your index finger up. Otherwise, let your hands be apart. Take your arms to vertical gaze up at your hands and try to keep your front leg substantially bent as you hold. And with your arms still lifted, straighten out your leg all together and turn your feet to face the long edge of your mat. Rotate your feet around to face the rear of your mat and bend your leg. Gaze straight up toward your hands and try to keep your arms vertical as you gaze straight up. A little more bend in your front leg for just a moment. And then straighten your leg. Turn your feet to face sideways. With your arms then extended outwards, take a really big step to get back to the front of your mat. With an inhale, sweep both arms up. Exhale to fold forward. Inhale, lift to your fingers. Exhale, chaturanga push-up. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now to strengthen the outside of your hips, come way up to the tips to your toes. Set up for the side plank. Move your hips and your heels to your right. Reach your left arm up to the ceiling. Feel free to take your right knee down to the floor if you like. Otherwise, keep both legs completely straight. Roll your tail under a little bit. For the next few moments, just gaze up towards your outstretched hand. And plant your hand back down there on the earth. Lift your hips upwards for the downward facing dog. And then rising to your tiptoes, and move your hips and your heels to your left. Reach your right arm all the way up to the ceiling. Before you can absolutely take a knee down if that's helpful for you. If you like to keep both legs straight, go for it. Tuck your ribs down in the front and try to take out any back bend as you hold. And then plant your hands back down there on the floor. Lower through chaturanga with your exhale. And then the up dog or low cobra with an inhale. The down dog stretch with your next exhale. A couple really huge breaths once there. All right, now this next time, take a look forward. Step your right foot all the way forward to your thumbs. Grab a hold of your right foot and turn the toes all the way out to your side. Then take your right hand to your knee, come up to your left fingertips, and spin them sideways so they face out toward the left side corner of your mat. Now next, just twist as you might normally. Rotate toward your bent leg in the front. At the same time, press your left heel really strongly back. Once that leg is relatively long, just keep twisting. Now for the next part, take your hand a little closer to the foot. Pull your belly in, round your spine substantially, and then take your left shoulder toward your right inner knee to deepen the hip opening element of the stretch. Keep pressing back through your rear heel as you hold there. And then releasing that, rotate your right foot forward so your foot's parallel to the side of your mat. Take your back knee all the way down to the earth and place both hands on the floor. Now, throughout the duration of this posture, you're welcome to modify by taking your right hand to the knee. From there, you just sink your hips down toward the floor. If you're able to, take your left arm all the way down to the floor and reach over there and grab a hold of your right ankle with your left hand. Sort of get your hand out of the way. Now for the next few moments, if you want to go deeper, lift your hips higher, but know that that's optional. If you can bend your back leg, do so. Reach your right hand back. See if you can reach around back there and attempt to grab your foot. And then just draw your heel toward your buttocks as you let your hips sink down toward the floor. If that's not working for you, just keep your right hand resting on your leg and continue twisting off to the side. And then drop your foot all the way down to the earth. And press all the way back up to two straight arms. Straighten your back leg entirely. Turn your rearmost heel down to the floor. And walking your right hand up to your shin, take the triangle pose. Straighten out your right leg as much as you can. Rotate your chest open to the edge. Reach your left arm straight upwards into the air. And for the next few moments, just keep breathing as you stretch your hamstrings from just a slightly different angle. And then bend your leg, plant your hand upon the floor, high push-up position to low, up dog or low cobra, and the down dog with your exhale. Next, step your left foot forward. Grab a hold of that foot completely, and give it a big turn out. With your left hand resting on your leg, right fingertips steepled facing sideways. Start out with the basic twist. Just rotate and spin your torso toward the left. Some deep breaths while your body gets used to that. The back leg tends to buckle a little bit, so try to really straighten back through your rearmost heel. And then from there, sort of pull your belly in and out of the way. Round your upper back and physically take your right shoulder toward your left inner knee as you continue to twist it out. And keep spinning and twisting. You'll get a lot of openness in your hip through that. You also get a stretch in your back. Rotating out of that, spin your left toes forward. Take your back knee down to the ground. And with both hands initially placed just inside of your foot, again, consider the modification. Feel free to take your left hand to your left knee and rotate toward the bent leg. Now, if your right elbow will come down to the floor, take it there. Reach across and grab a hold of your left ankle with your right hand, and then just keep twisting for a moment. Sometimes it can be hard to grab your rearmost leg, but it's easier if you lift your hips. So consider lifting them up a bit. Now, sometimes when you reach back, if you can't see your foot, if you sort of twist your wrist around in the air, that can create a little more sensation. Sometimes you can find the foot. And then if you get it, just draw your heel closer to your buttocks and let your hips sink deeply down. It's a huge stretch for your quadriceps and your hamstrings also. It's also a lot. So if you want to go with a modification, just keep doing the twisting one with your left hand on your knee. Drop the foot all the way back down to the ground initially. Once you've done so, press all the way back up to 2 straight arms. Elongate your back leg and turn your heel down. Now, if you know you can plant your hand on the floor, you go for it. Otherwise, take your hand to your shin like me. Elongate your left leg completely. And for the triangle, rotate your torso open to the edge. From there, gaze up, sideways or down, and reach your arms straight upward overhead as you keep holding and breathing. A different transition this time. Bend your leg and rise upwards to warrior 2. Straighten out your leg completely. And take a super gigantic step to get back to the front of your mat. For now, join your hands together in a prayer. And look at something solid on the wall in front of you or potentially down on the floor. Now, not to Rajasana. Reach your left arm all the way up. And set up for the dancer's pose. If you like, you can turn your toes out a little bit or keep your feet parallel. Now reach your right hand back, capture the right foot, and initially to open your chest, just press your foot upward into the hand. Today, reach your left arm straight upwards in the air to the sky. If you want to integrate a little bit of a forward lean, go for it. For the next few moments, just hold there and keep breathing. Use an inhale to come all the way back up. Drop your foot, join your hands together in a prayer. Reach your other arm all the way up. And then reach your hand back to capture the foot. Now, the dancer's pose is a great balance and a chest stretch. So as you press your foot up, let your chest roll open to the side. Extend long upward through your fingertips as you continue to kick. And just a little bit at a time, lean forward. And next time you inhale, come all the way back up. Draw your knee high to your chest. And drop your foot. And join your hands together in a prayer. For the moment, close your eyes and redirect your focus to your breathing. So today we're going to work toward a twisting crow, and I'm just going to spin my body toward the camera so it's easier for you to see. So from wherever you are, just come down to a deep squatting posture. Use some of that flexibility you developed to rotate your knees over to your left. So I'm going to do it to my right, but go to your left so it looks like we're doing the same thing. Now, at first, your right hand is a stabilizer, so put that on the floor behind you and come as high as you can to the tiptoes of your right foot. Now, I usually like to lean back a little bit so I can spin my belly out of the way. And from there, you lean into the leg and attempt to hook your elbow over the knee. For the first part of it, just hold there and keep twisting. Now, if you do indeed want to go on, lean forward until your fingertips touch the floor. Try to maintain your arm and leg contact. And as you continue leaning forward, lift your buttocks just a bit with your elbow bent. See if you can pick up one foot or both feet and hover there for just a bit. Take your feet all the way back down and then rotate them off to the same pose on the other side. Now today my shirt and pants are a little slippery, so it's hard to keep the leg on the arm. If you ever experience that, you can always roll your clothing up a little higher, and sometimes that gives you better purchase. But for now, just like before, cross your right arm all the way over your leg. For the next few moments as you hold there, just keep rotating and spinning everything open to the edge. And if it's hard to hook the arm over the leg, sometimes coming higher to your tiptoes will help. Now, if you're ready to go for it, plant your hands down there on the floor. Lean forward just a little bit as you try to maintain that contact point. And then from there, lift one foot or both feet all the way up in the air. And take both feet back down. And when you're ready, come back to the cat-cow kriya position with your shoulders stacked directly above your wrists. Elongate your legs completely and lower all the way down to your belly. All right, some stabilizers. Roll over onto your left-hand side. Prop yourself up on your left elbow so you have some support, and tuck your ribs down in the front. Now, with your toes curled back and your ankle flexed, move your right leg backwards, and then use your inhales to lift the leg, and your exhales to drop it down. Continue at your own rate of speed, and every time you move, see if you can actually create a little bit of contraction in your outer hip. These are sort of accessory motions to protect your lower back before we do some deeper back bending. About 15 more seconds left. Now, the next time you raise your leg up, rotate your toes in, lift it just a little higher upward in the air. Again, you're looking for some burning in your outermost hip, the gluteus medius. And then take your foot all the way back down, and just roll straight over to the same for the other side. So try not to flare your ribs, drop them down in the front. Extend your left leg back until it's behind the hip, and rotate your big toe down. Now you can just breathe deeply if you like, or you can coordinate by using your inhales to lift your foot and your exhales to drop it down. And just continue lifting and dropping. Again, we'll continue on with that for around 30 seconds or so. Try to keep your big toe spun inwards so the uppermost edge of your foot is parallel to the ceiling. And every time you lift, just see if you can target your left outer hip. About 10 more seconds of those ones remain. And take the foot all the way back down to the floor. Plant your hands near the bottom of your ribs. Press to an up dog with an inhale. Lift your hips all the way up in the air for the down dog stretch. And take a look forward. Either sit down or hop through to a full seated position and slide both legs forward to the front. Next one takes place from reclining. So roll all the way down your back to lay down on the ground. Now, once you're laying down, bend your legs. Watch your knees fall out to the sides like the open pages of a magazine. Squeeze your arms tightly into your sides, and then bend your arms to 90 degrees so that your forearms go vertical. Press your elbows down and get the glutes from the back by just lifting your hips all the way upwards into the air. Keep pressing your heels down, your elbows into the earth. Roll your tail under like a scared puppy dog and squeeze all the muscles in your bum. And come all the way back down to the earth. Hold your knees or the backs of your legs. Rock up to a seated position. Hop back and lower through chaturanga. The up dog with your inhale. The down dog next with your exhale. All right, the pigeon. Swing your right ankle toward your left wrist until your shin comes down. Slide your left leg a little further backwards. And today, rather than forward folding, let this one be a back bend. Walk your hands back just a little bit. At first, if you're tight in your hip flexors, you might need to forward lean. But if it feels okay, come up for just a little bit more of a back bend. Allow your hips to lift off the floor just a little bit. Maybe come up to your fingers. And if possible, straighten your back leg so much that your rearmost knee lifts off of the floor. A deeper stretch for your hip flexors. And take that knee down to the floor, plant your hands, step back to the plank, and then lower to your belly. Completely different pose. Reach your right arm out to the edge of your mat. Turn your palm to face up toward the ceiling. And then once you've done that, bend your left leg, roll over onto the right-hand side of your body, and flip your leg over toward the floor behind you to give yourself a deeper chest stretch. For the next few moments, gaze straight up to the ceiling. Roll all the way back down. Plant your hands near the bottom of your ribs and press to an up dog as you breathe in. Down dog as you breathe out. Pigeon on the left side. Swing your left ankle toward your right wrist. It's okay to let your knee be as wide as or slightly wider than your hip. And today, just like before, come up for a bit of a back bend. Walk your hands backwards. If you need to forward lean a little bit, that's okay. Otherwise, lift your back hip up a little bit by really pressing your left knee down and come up for a deeper back bend. You'll really get the stretch in your hip flexors if you work toward a straight leg. So straighten your back leg as much as you can as you bend. With your back knee taken to the floor, next that chest opening stretch. Shift to the high plank position. Lower all the way down to your stomach. Left arm reaches out. Protect your elbow by turning your palm up. And then with your right leg bent, roll your hip open to the edge. Attempt to touch your toe or the heel to the floor behind you. And as you keep twisting, just make sure that your left arm remains parallel to the front of your mat. You get a deeper stretch in your chest like that. And now roll all the way down to the belly and to the floor. Prop yourself up on your elbows. And then sort of pull backward on your elbows to drag the bottom rim of your ribs a bit further forward. Now, if you're not yet ready to reach back and grab the feet in the bow posture, hold this posture instead because it'll give you some of the same benefits in your back. Otherwise, slide your feet apart until they're as wide as your hips or maybe wider, and then bend your legs. Reach back there and try to grab a hold of your feet, sort of near the toes for today. Now, if you've got them, keep holding on. Shift your body's weight forward by leaning your head toward the earth. And then kick your feet straight upwards in the air to the ceiling. Squeeze your shoulders back in together. To lift your head, just look forward to the front of the class as you keep kicking your feet straight upwards in the air. Shoulders squeeze back in together as you hold. And then relax to come down. Once you've done so, bend your legs and wave your ankles from one side to the other side. And plant your hands near the bottom rim of your ribs. Use your knees if it helps. Press from the low push-up to the high with an exhale. Now, once you've got to that, drop your hips a little bit till they're about shoulder and height. Curl your chin to your chest. Squeeze your butt and press down really, really hard to your hands and squeeze every muscle in your body like you're trying to pop a balloon. And take your knees all the way down to the earth. Crisscross your legs in the back. Roll backward over to a seated position. And then when you're ready, extend both legs forward to the front of your mat. All right, today, cross your left leg over the right leg. Once you've done so, reach down with your right hand and capture your foot. Place your left hand on the ground behind you. Sit up a little taller. Rotate your chest off to your left. Pick up your foot. Stay there if you like. Otherwise, straighten your leg at a diagonal out toward the front corner of your mat. Cow face pose is next. So cross your left knee over top of right and press your knees closer together. If it's possible for you to do the same with the other leg, then drop back. Once you've done so, sit up just a little bit taller and then forward fold over your legs beneath. Ground your left hip down to the mat. And as before, just breathe. All right, then sit all the way back up. So I've angled my body toward the camera in case it's easier for you to see that angle. But for now, cross your right leg over. I'm doing my left, so it looks like we're doing the same things. Now, reach down and grab a hold of your right foot with your left hand. And place your left fingertips on the floor behind you. Now, at first, when you pick up the leg, if there's tension in the hamstrings, it'll be really hard to straighten, and that's okay. You just hold there. If you can elongate, though, go ahead and stretch out through it. Sometimes it really helps to press out to the ball of your foot. And then rotate your chest off to the right-hand side. So a hip and a hamstring opener all in one fell swoop. And for the cow-faced posture, stack your right knee over your left knee. Draw your other foot all the way back to your side, if possible. Otherwise, keep the leg straight as before. And pull on both your feet back and sit up a little taller and forward lean over your legs beneath. Use an inhale to sit all the way up. From there, straighten both legs completely and bend your legs just enough to put your feet flat on the floor. You're going to want your heels to be about 3.5 feet away from your hips. Drop your knees all the way out to the sides. And once you've done that, lean forward and grab a hold of your feet. Sit up just a little bit taller. And for the next few moments, drop your two bottom ribs down in the front. Forward lean with some spinal length. And if you want, you can stay a little higher upward like I am. If you want to take it deeper though, round your spine very gently and attempt to touch your forehead to your heels beneath. Nothing wrong with staying higher though. I'm getting a great stretch up here, so if you prefer, stay higher up instead. And then sit up just a bit. Straighten both legs all the way out and ahead. Now reach out there and grab your shins or your ankles. If you can grab your feet, slide your thumbs into the space between your big toe and the toe next to it. Wrap the rest of your fingers around the top. And use an inhale to sit up. Tuck your ribs down so you're compact. Stay up there with me if you like. Otherwise, fold forward and take your elbows down. If you can touch your elbows to the shins, go for it. If you want a deeper challenge, try to touch your elbows to the floor near either side of your legs. Use an inhale to sit up. So I'll spin sideways again. Now for the moment, you want to make sure that your feet are fully on the mat. So start with that. And then plant your hands on the floor behind you, at least a foot back, pretty far, with fingers facing forward. Now, once you've gotten into that basic position, squeeze your shoulders all the way back in together. Press your hands down into the floor. And then lift your breastbone up toward your chin so it kind of feels like you were back bending. You're perfectly welcome to stay there if the next one is too much. If you can go further though, lift your hips off the ground. Lift your breastbone up, point your toes, and try to touch your toes to the floor out there as you hold. Take your hips all the way back down. Reach your arms straight ahead. And once you've done so, roll all the way down your back to lay down on the ground. Reach both of your arms out to your sides. And draw your knees toward your chest. And drop your knees to the right. And rotate your gaze to the left. Sweep your knees all the way back up and drop them over for the same posture on the other side. And then when you're ready, find your way to the corpse pose, flat out on your back on the floor. Let's make any final adjustments you need to so that you can let your body get heavy and still. Let go of all control of your breathing patterns. And as you settle in and your heartbeat continues to drop, just breathe normally. So I grew up in south central Montana in a town called Livingston. It's absolutely beautiful. And my mom lives just a bit outside of the town. Now, the space where she lives has this really amazing field with a view of the Rocky Mountains. You see, Livingston sits at the base of a valley called the Paradise Valley, and it's absolutely stunning. Looks like a Budweiser commercial or something like that. The mountains are almost always encased in snow. There are 11,000 peaks everywhere, and it's, I think, one of the most beautiful places in the world that I've ever seen. Now, the house that I grew up in, started out pretty shabby. When we first moved into the place, it actually had a chicken coop attached to the front. And Livingston, being a railroad town, oftentimes resorted to different creative means to build properties around the area. So someone had actually found an old boxcar, like the car that trains pull around, and they'd stuck it out in the middle of our land. They built a house around it, and that became our home. I really enjoyed growing up in this space. What I enjoyed more than anything else was that field. I used to spend all sorts of time out there. And while playing out in that field, I learned so many lessons about human happiness. So I thought I would talk about one of those today. Now, I remember after I had actually left Livingston, I think it must have been 15 years ago or so, I went back to visit my family. And it turns out that my brother Hugh had purchased a small baby horse, a colt named Latigo. Now, I wanted to meet the new horse, so I went out into the field and I tried to walk up to make her acquaintance, but she did as young horses do. She simply ran away every time I tried to get close. Now, after a little while, I figured out that my approach wasn't working. And I remember that I recently watched The Horse Whisperer with Robert Redford. I don't know if you've ever seen it or not, but there's this really cool scene where he's chasing a wild horse that he can't catch. So he just sits down in the middle of the field for many hours, and eventually the horse comes to him. Now, that day, I didn't really have a lot to do, and I thought I would give it a shot to see if it works. So I took Robert Redford's approach. I just sat down facing the mountains, and I took in the view. Now, at first, as I looked over, Latigo was paying me no mind whatsoever. But then, every so often, as I looked over my shoulder, I noticed that she was nudging closer to me. She was eating these big clumps of grass, and as soon as she would finish one, she would take a few steps in my general direction. Until at some point, I looked over my shoulder and I saw her getting much closer. Now, I continued to wait it out for quite a while, and at some point, I actually felt her nuzzle my shoulder. It was actually a really amazing moment. For just a second there, I felt so connected to the landscape. I felt so connected to myself, and I definitely felt connected to that horse. So, as it turns out, Robert Redford's horse whisperer technique actually kind of worked. And that particular experience was a great reminder for me. And I know that so many times in my life, I try to chase happiness. I've done so many things to do that. I've tried to chase happiness professionally. I've tried to chase happiness in relationships. I've tried to chase happiness in so many different ways. But it's really the oddest thing ever. I notice every time I've tried to chase that happiness, it tends to be elusive. Sometimes I get what I've been chasing. It makes me really happy for a bit. And then at some point, the luster wears off. Whereas I was excited before, at some point, the craving for something new comes back. And then I start chasing around something else that is supposedly going to make me happy. Over and over again, I've experienced this. And I've found that no matter how many times I capture that thing that I'm really hoping is going to be the final thing, the final straw in my stack of happiness, it never actually kind of works. Now, I think, in contrast, oftentimes if I just stop chasing, if I sit down for a little while and get still with myself, if I give myself a little more time to appreciate what I have, if I give myself time to spend time with people that I love, if I just take time to really be present, and all of a sudden happiness comes around to find me. And I think in meditation, I found that more times than any other time. It's the strangest thing ever, but sometimes if you let go of everything outside of yourself, you just get still and quiet for a while, then the peace and the happiness and the contentment that you're seeking actually comes around to you, just like Latigo. So today we'll do a final meditation practice. Now, you should know that whether or not you feel more peaceful at the end depends on a whole host of conditions outside of us. But if you continue on with the practice, at some point you'll experience some of the peace of the practice. So today, keeping in mind that it might take more than one practice, just do your best for today's practice. Try to let go of everything outside of the walls that you're in. Focus awareness on your body. When your mind wanders, come back and redirect to the next set of points that I mentioned, and the rest will come from that. So if you will, just shift your awareness to your eyes. And as you focus there, just breathe normally for today. If your mind does wander from your eyes, though, redirect there slowly. Shift awareness to your ears next. As you focus there, know that it's okay to be having thoughts. You'll most likely feel some emotions too. Just let them come and go in the background like clouds floating through the sky. Right nostril and left nostril. Right cheek and left cheek. Upper lip and lower lip. Upper teeth and lower teeth. The tip of the tongue. Middle of the throat. And tips of your shoulders. Elbows. Wrists. Palms of the hands. Tips of the fingers. Shift awareness to your hips. Kneecaps. Ankles. Bottoms of the feet. Tips of your toes. Right and left side of your body. Back of your body. Navel. Center chest. Tips of your shoulders. Back of your neck. And send awareness from your heart out to the palms of your hands. From your heart to the bottoms of your feet. And from your heart to the base of the spine, and again upward to the top of your head. So when I was growing up in that house that was once a train, where I was spending a lot of time out on those fields in Montana, I had so many dreams. And I'm happy at this stage of my life to be able to say that I've accomplished a lot of those dreams. Now, I think those accomplishments have been important because they've shown me that even when you get what you want, sometimes it's not everything that it was cracked up to be. And even if it is, the satisfaction that you get from having accomplished that is temporary in nature. At some point, some more craving will come back. Well, I think having accomplished some of those things is really great because I realize that no one single person, place, or thing is going to truly make me happy. And in fact, when I find that that happens now, I'm less disappointed because I know that that's just part of life. I know that there are great challenges, and even the best things. And sometimes those challenges make you stronger. They grow close. They help you grow closer to other people, and they're a really important part of the human experience. Now, whenever I'm tempted to fall back into all of my old patterns where I'm always trying to chase something around in the hopes that it will make me happy, these days I just try to remember that story of Latigo. I remember sitting in the middle of the field looking at those mountains until that horse came to me. And that's something that you can do too, time that you're actually drawn into too much striving. Now, I don't want to say that there's not a time for striving. There's a time for everything in this life. But if you've been striving for a while, if you've been running around your whole life trying to be happy and you're finding that it's elusive, then it's time to try something else as well. So for the next few moments, your final few moments here, just get really still and quiet. Redirect all of your awareness to your breath. Whenever your mind wanders elsewhere and off to anything else, just redirect to your breathing. And after a little while, practice by practice, what you seek will finally come. And if your mind has wandered, redirect it momentarily to your breath. As I mentioned, I will stick around today for some questions after we fade to black, but first we've got to conclude. So if you will, roll all the way over and onto one side. And take a few moments there. And with both of your eyes closed, come back to a seated and cross-legged position of some type. And join your hands together in a prayer at your chest. Remember the person that you dedicated your practice to. Either pray for or wish for their happiness and their health. Take a moment to be grateful for the gift of another day. And if you wish, repeat after me. May all sentient beings everywhere experience peace.